Welcome to the Art Lady's home. Today we're making egg stuffed peppers. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare my peppers right here. This is one that's already prepared. What I do is I slice off the tops of them, just like this, pretty close to the top. And then I give a little twist, take off the seed pack, put it in a little compost bag, and then the little white membrane I'm just pulling off right here. And I have one seed left, so I give a little tap and out it comes. I want to make sure I don't damage the outer shell here so that it holds the egg mixture in. Now this leftover piece, I'm going to toss this, and this will be chopped up to put into the egg mixture. I'm also going to chop up the red one to go into the egg mixture as well, because I want a little bit of color in here. So this one gets totally chopped up. My tomato is going to get chopped up, and I'm going to use half of an onion for this as well. So I'm going to prepare my peppers, and then I will show you what I do next. Now I'm going to take my pan, and this is a 9x9 baking dish, and I'm going to put probably about a tablespoon of oil at the bottom, just enough to coat the bottom. And I'm going to sit my little peppers in it right here. And I have 5 of them I'm going to do. I could have probably squished 6, but the last one had a little damage on here. So we will do 5 of them. Here. Now they're ready to fill with batter. But now first I'm going to go ahead and prepare my eggs. I'm starting the eggs, and I'm going to do 2 eggs, and then I'm going to incorporate some sour cream into the eggs. A half cup of the sour cream. And I'm going to incorporate this into the first 2 eggs, and then I'm going to add my other eggs to this. It's just easier to mix when you start off with a little bit. So that was about a half a cup of sour cream. This will add some thickness to the egg mixture. Instead of adding milk, which will make the egg mixture kind of runny, this does the trick, but keeps it pretty thick, just in case we have a hole or two. Now I'm going to go ahead and incorporate the rest of my eggs into the batter. Okay, I've diced up my tomato, and I ended up using just one of the tomatoes because I originally was going to do 6 of these, but this one had a crack in it. So now I'm going to do just 1 tomato, and I have a half of this pepper I'm using. I'm going to use the rest of this with some tuna salad. So I have half of the red pepper diced up, 1 tomato, half of that onion, which is a medium-sized onion, and then I diced up 2 of these tops here, the green. I didn't use them all. I'm going to use the rest in a tuna salad because we're going to get enough from our peppers, the green pepper. So I just wanted a little bit of color inside that's green. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my egg mixture here, and then I'm going to drain the mushrooms and chop these up a bit because these mushrooms usually come pretty big. So I'm going to add that now to my egg mixture, and then I will show you what that looks like from this up. I've taken a towel and kind of blotted the mushrooms a little bit. I don't want to add a lot of liquid, and there's a lot of liquid here around these mushrooms. So I'm just blotting them with a couple paper towels to get rid of this excessive moisture here, because I don't want the egg mixture to be too runny. And now I'm going to go ahead and put that into my egg mixture right here. It's a pretty good consistency. Right there. And that's a small can of those mushrooms. Okay, now I'm going to add some feta cheese. And I'm going to do approximately a half a cup of this feta crumbles. And I have some, it's pretty big chunks, and I don't want, so I want them to be real big, so I'm going to break them up a little bit like that. So I'm going to measure out a 1/2 cup, and then I'm going to go ahead and crush any of the big ones up a little. To crush up my big chunks, I'm just taking my knife and going through. This particular one had some big chunks in it. Oops, let me do it over the dish so that I don't get it everywhere. So I'm just breaking this up a little bit. It's actually a little bit, it's a heavy 1/2 cup. I love feta cheese. I tend to like feta. I personally think it's healthier for you than dairy. At least it doesn't seem to bother me as much. So there it is, broken up a bit. I just don't like getting a big, huge blob of it. I'm going to put that in. And then I'm going to add some onion powder. And you can go ahead and add your spices to taste. I'm going to add probably a teaspoon of onion powder. And then I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper. Let's see what I've got here. That's about 1/2 teaspoon. And then I'm going to add a little bit more. And I don't like it too salty. So I'm going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then I'll add a little bit more. And we can salt as we eat it. It's better to be less salty than too salty. So I'm going to stir it around. It has a nice ratio of vegetable to egg. I want to stir those seasonings in pretty good. And to give it a tad of a kick, I am going to measure this. I normally don't measure, but I do measure my cayenne pepper when I do that. Now for the cayenne pepper, what I'm doing is about a 1/16 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And this can also be added to taste after they're done as well. Or what my son loves is hot sauce on top. So I may bake some with some hot sauce on top for him. But I do small amounts as not to overspice. Now my oven is preheating, and I have it preheated 375. And now I'm going to go ahead and scoop out. I've just filled up the peppers, and I've left about 1 inch from the top for expansion. I'm pulling out a little bit more on there. And I just used this soup ladle to fill them up. And I do have some leftover batter, so I'm just going to fill up a, you can use fill this up in muffin tins if you want, or you can use little mini ramekins, or I have some little mini casserole dishes that I'm going to use with my leftovers. And I'll show you what they look like when it's done. Well, I've just taken them out of the oven, and they've cooked for 20 minutes. My little ramekins are cooking much faster. Even though I have it set on a convection bake, it's just because there's a lot of peppers shoved in that dish that the air isn't circulating as well and cooking it as fast. But the little ramekins are almost done. I'm going to put some cheese on top of all of them, put them in the oven, and then check them every 5 minutes until they are done. So that's my next steps, going back in the oven. And here they are out of the oven. One of them has already been served. And I cooked them for a total of 40 minutes, an additional 15 with the cheese on top, and it's golden brown, just enough to brown the tops of the peppers as well. I like mine pretty firm, my eggs, so when I touch them, you want to make sure it bounces back. That way I know they're cooked all the way through, because they're pretty thick. And my little ramekins, I put some olive oil on the bottom before I filled them in, and they're not sticking at all. And I've tasted the ramekin so far, and they're really juicy and flavorful. So I hope you enjoy this simple little recipe of eggs in stuffed peppers.